Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions regarding this watch. It's an incredible piece. From H. Moser Cie, you were looking at the Streamliner Tourbillon, but this is not just the Streamliner Tourbillon. No. This is the Rainbow Sapphire model, an extraordinary array of 60 individual baguette-cut sapphires with a perfect color gradient shift so that each one is gradual, each one with equal clarity, and there being 60 of them, this is actually the minutes ring for the watch. So there is a lot to take in. Now the watch is quite compact. Overall, it is surprisingly slim. At 40 in diameter, 12.1 millimeters thick, so think Rolex GMT Master 2. It is a slim watch. And then 45.9 from lug tip to lug tip. This model came out in 2022. I just want to be clear about that lug-to-lug. What we're actually measuring is the first link on each side of the case. That is effectively the lug-to-lug when you have a bracelet this highly integrated. So back in 2022, this was quite a show, taking the Streamliner Tourbillon and adding a Rolex-like array of rainbow sapphires. In fact, they add up to 2.9 carats. The watch is easy to wear on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. You can see the edges of the case are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. And from over the top, which always exaggerates the width of a watch, you can see the edges of the case are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. So this really is suitable for a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. Take the links out of the bracelet and boom, you're there. It will easily fit under a cuff if you want to make it disappear, but it really isn't that kind of watch. It won't be the kind of thing to cause your cuff to get hung up, but this is probably an extrovert's watch, and an extrovert would want it to be seen. Made of steel, it is more durable than the rainbow equivalent, which makes it a little bit friendlier as an everyday. The bracelet and the watch model itself really designed as an homage to great models from the 70s without being derivative in its entirety of any one of them. Of course, we have the large tonneau style case, an integrated bracelet. We have this sort of, I would say, Omega Speedsonic lobster tail or Abel Sport Classic inspired bracelet. And then the tonneau was found on everything from the later Mark Series Speedmasters to the Oris Chronoris Star. This is a wonderful love letter to the 70s in the same way that all of the Quentin Tarantino movies are love letters to genres of filmmaking. Not plagiaristic, not derivative of one, but a sort of composite of all of them and an homage rendered in great respect. Taking a look at the individual links, this is one of the most remarkably built bracelets I've encountered in that you could see inside the links, the interlock is seamless and there's no daylight showing between the links. So you have this wonderful taper down from the lugs with a polished bevel on the edge. You have this internal beveling, which is gorgeous. The satination across the top, and if you look, you can even see inside the links it's been satin brushed. Removable links are fixed with pins, but you can see how many removable links there are. So you're going to really be able to fine-tune the fit. The only part of this watch that doesn't feel bespoke is the clasp, but it's also the part you're going to look at the least. You can see it says BRO because Brogioli made it, and it is a double fold with a twin trigger release. You can see the Moser logo externally. Moser doesn't make bracelets and cases. It does make the design, though, and the supplier delivers Moser's design. Twin trigger release, so it's not going to pop open unless you press both triggers. It is very secure. Rolling around to the case, Moser case flanks are always evacuated in some sense. Usually it's a concave or a recess with coining in the case of the Pioneers, but on the Streamliner, you have the lip of the case back, the lip of the bezel, and then this recess with satin finish, and then the flanking lips are polished. And so that's what we get. This bezel outboard is all polished. The crown is double knurled, screw down. It is 120 meters water resistant. Let's take a look at those Globalite ceramic loomed inserts on the hands, just so we get a sense of how this watch looks in the dark. Now the dial, flanked by those sapphires, the sapphires really do steal the show. And you can see it's very difficult to sense the gradient from one to another, but over the course of about 3 of them, you can see the shift. Taking a quick look at the dial, it is this remarkable, clear lacquered, minimally branded, almost anonymously unbranded sort of vote of confidence in Moser's own design. You know when you see this that it's a Moser, which is why the branding is so subtle. It's simply not necessary. Taking a look at the indices, they're polished and they actually match the contours of the inserts on the hand, so there's a nice symmetry there. The crystal is dramatically vaulted with a little bit of a box section profile, and then the dial has a gradient fade, silver at the center, almost black at the edge. They call that fume or smoked. We have a flying tourbillon. It is a 1-minute tourbillon, so it doubles as the seconds hand of the watch. Now, it's a 3 hertz beat rate. The watch is automatic winding with a 72-hour power reserve. What makes this special isn't that it's a flying tourbillon, although that is special. A flying tourbillon has no upper bridge to block your view, so you can enjoy an unobstructed view of that for which you've paid. It is also by far the most detailed and most finely finished part of this Moser movement. This is the HMC 804, but what I want you to look at, the 2 stud holders for 2 identical hairsprings 180 degrees out of phase. And the point of that is that when gravity causes one to run fast, the other, by an equal and opposite margin, will cause the balance to slow. So while a tourbillon in pocket watch terms long ago would have canceled out the effect of gravity on the regulator, today the tourbillon is there for aesthetics, and the double hairspring is Moser's way of canceling out gravity in a wristwatch that could be twisted, contorted, or rolled in any orientation. This gives you that benefit. Also impressive, the escapement, the balance, and the hairsprings are of Moser's own manufacture through its subsidiary Precision Engineering. It is one of the few companies and one of precious few independent brands in Switzerland that can make all of these parts. When you roll it over, by the way, also take a look, shock-protected tourbillon. That is still not universal in the Swiss industry. On the back, you can see the movement itself. Now we've got a rose gold rotor that has 3 different finishes. We have ceramic bearings for higher winding efficiency and minimal lubrication. It is a magic lever style bidirectional winding system, and you have a broad base for the tourbillon. Once again, we have shock protection on the bottom of the tourbillon, but also look at the ceramic bearings around the edge of the bearing system. You notice how they're ceramic and they're broad? That creates a large base to plant and anchor the tourbillon. So minimal friction, but also a broad base to relieve stress on the structure. We have double crested Moser stripes across the bridge, a screw fixed golden chaton pocket watch style holding the barrel arbor. All the screw heads are black polished, and you can see that there's a snailing on the edge of the bridges with media blast on the base plate, and a machine applied but clean and attractive anglage, a deeply impressive watch on every level. Forgive me, my autofocus has run amok. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.